Alright, this video is just gonna be kind of different from what I normally do. Normally I just make game videos for my gaming friends and that sort of thing. I don't really have any editing software or anything like that. I just have a game recorder, so kind of bear with me. I'm going to make this video in a game format even though it's not really about gaming. What I'm going to talk about is our financial future and how it may relate to cryptocurrencies. Starting out here in the US, I don't know about the country where you're from, wherever it may be, but in our country we have a total of I forget what the debt number is, but it's really huge. I did the math, and what it works out to me is about $65,000 for man, woman, and child. Now, what that means is if everybody from your grandfather to all the babies wrote a check to the IRS and said, okay, go ahead and pay off the national debt, that would solve the problem if they all did that tomorrow, which is really not too likely. So, with that out of the way, your average taxpayer in the United States, of course there's some more, some less, but your average taxpayer pays about $10,500 per year. So if all that money was to go into just paying off the national debt and nothing else, you would be at roughly 6 years and 3 months of time in doing that, and that would pay off your national debt, and then we'd be in the clear again. But of course we all know that's not going to happen, and the debt is way over anything that's going to ever be paid back. So there's really one or two outcomes for this, and one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because people, even though they know about the debt and everything, they're not really terribly well versed in the implications. So I'll just go ahead and kind of spell it out for you. The chickens are going to come home to roost at some point. So all the interest on the debt is going to either be paid or it's not going to be paid. One of two options. Well, there's not enough money to pay it, so obviously what the government is going to have to do is pretty much what governments do best, and that is to go ahead and print more money, and that they will. And what's going to happen is our country is eventually at some point going to turn into something similar to what has happened in Venezuela, where basically stacks of dollar bills are used to buy bread and that sort of thing. So, long term, that's going to be the outcome. I don't really see any other out to the situation at hand. Mathematically, it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be either default or the government's going to print more money, and apparently they're already doing a lot of that. So this is just something to keep in mind. Now, what's this going to do to cryptocurrencies? Well, I gotta tell you, in the short term, there's a lot of videos out there predicting that Bitcoin's gonna just go through the roof and everything. And they're trying to say that it's all going to happen next month and that sort of thing. These are feel-good videos. I don't think these people really actually know anything about what's going to happen, and I don't either. Now, in the beginning of Bitcoin, I thought that it was all going to be kind of just a big scam, and I really wasn't prepared for any of that. So I kind of missed out on the Bitcoin bubble, but that just goes to show you how wrong I could be. And if I could be wrong, anybody else can be wrong as well. So this is just something to keep in mind. I never expected the prices to go as high as they did, and there's a good chance they're going to go higher, but I'm going to say this. Short term, nobody really knows what's going to happen to cryptocurrencies. Now, where does that leave us? Short term, we don't know. In the long term, I honestly believe that what's going to happen is at some point the US dollar is going to lose its value, and it's going to be really apparent at some point. And if you're in another country, you kind of already know this. So goes the dollar, so goes the world. So I believe at this point, what's going to happen is people are going to learn more and more about the blockchain and how it's kind of a foolproof system. It can't be manipulated in the same way that governments manipulate the dollar and that sort of thing. So people are going to stock up on that, and at that point, when they realize that the dollar is no longer worth what they thought it was going to be worth, they're going to head in that direction. The same thing is happening in Venezuela right now. What's interesting is in Venezuela, it's illegal to mine Bitcoin or anything like that, but nevertheless, people are doing it. You know, there's a few stories out there about how people there are doing that, and that's the only way they get by, because basically their grocery stores are empty, their money is useless. They're using the dollar system. If you want to study the future of the United States, you can look at Venezuela. I don't know how hard it's going to be for us versus Venezuela. It can go either route. I'm not even sure at this point what to tell you there. But it's coming. So, you know, that's a mathematical probability, just about 100%. So anyway, that's where we're headed, and I do believe at some point Bitcoin is going to really just go through the roof, and the early adopters will have, of course, benefited from that, and other cryptocurrencies as well. I'm going to touch on one other thing. I am not really big on government conspiracies. I don't think that, you know, there's like this big conspiracy. I think it's more like the case of we're flying an airplane and no one's at the wheel. So that's bad enough, but anyway, I think that's pretty much where we're headed. So what do I think of the future of Bitcoin? I think that it's going to go way up at some point. I don't know when that point is, but we're in the early days now, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So I would recommend to anybody to at least have a certain percentage of their money into cryptocurrencies, because that's going to be the wave of the future. And someday cryptocurrencies may be all we have. Mathematically, I just don't see this going any other way. One other thing to consider here is governments are not going to want to give away or let go of the power they already currently hold over currency, as they've been able to manipulate it and use it for their own purposes. So I would look for governments to try to fight Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in some form or fashion. So just look for that to happen. One of the things that I would recommend at this point is maybe having some cryptocurrencies stocked away in a private wallet. That is probably something that you can do in some way. And I do recommend having a certain amount in Monero because it's basically non-traceable. I know there's others out there, but Monero is a pretty good investment, and it's fairly cheap right now. So I'm not really looking at getting rich with this stuff per se, as much as I'm looking more at securing my own future in a future that is almost certainly doomed with $1. So I'll just say that much. If there's any questions or you want more information, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I may put a few links in the video description, you know, and that sort of thing, just things you can look up. But I'm going to put my email address there, and if you have any questions, you can email me, and I will do my best to get back to you on that stuff and give you some information that maybe you can use. I do enjoy helping people, so if this video helps you, that's great. I'll just go ahead and I'll do what I can for you. There's a lot to learn out there. Another thing is there's a lot of protocols involved with Bitcoin security, and this is really important because there's people getting hacked all the time out there, and it's a lot easier for hackers to go somewhere and hack than you might think, and there's a lot of steps you really kind of want to put into place to keep that from happening. I would hate to see anybody lose all their Bitcoin to a hacker. So anyway, I guess that's about it for the video. I just put this out there to basically help friends and that sort of thing, and I wanted to really stress this point because a lot of people don't realize the present situation that we're in, as it's not really affecting them right now, but it will. You know, the numbers suggest that the national debt is not going to be paid off, and at some point the interest on loan is going to be more than the intake that the government gets, and at that point they're going to start printing money. I don't really see it going any other way. So for all you long-term planners, I just thought I'd put this out there, and I guess that's about it. So hopefully I'll talk to you later. Take care.